What if I told you that in the next 10 minutes, you could find a business idea that is genuinely perfect for you? It's possible, but only if you fix the number one mistake most people make when choosing a business idea. It's the fact that you're searching for one in the first place. I need you to really hear that, because understanding this one thing is the key, and it unlocks everything else. This is the exact mistake that kept me paralyzed for months. I was endlessly scrolling through lists of hot business ideas only to feel more and more frustrated. It honestly felt like everyone else had this magical idea light bulb moment and I was missing something fundamental. If you've ever felt that way, you need to know that you're not alone. It was in that exact moment of frustration that I realized that the entire premise of my search was wrong. Most people think finding $1 million idea is about luck, or stumbling upon some hidden opportunity. My contrarian take is that the real gold isn't out there, it's inside of you. You see, the missing piece isn't a magical business idea. It's a system for generating them. A system that turns you from an idea seeker into an idea generator. After 7 years of building businesses, I've boiled this down. It's a 5-part framework. But I have to warn you, get this first part wrong and the other 4 are basically useless. But get this right and you build a business that pulls you forward, not one you have to constantly push. This foundational first step is what I call the passion problem fit. It's a simple idea really. The best businesses are born when you solve a problem you deeply understand, and a problem you genuinely care about. It's not about chasing trends, it's about leveraging who you are. But look, that's just theory. And theory is useless without proof. So let me show you how this isn't just motivational fluff. Let me share the personal story that completely changed my own trajectory. It's the story of how I went from burnt out freelance web designer trapped in a feast or famine cycle to building a business that didn't just solve my problem, but became the very product I sold. I had just hit send on an email that made my stomach turn. It was an email to a perfect potential client, the kind that you dream about, politely telling them I couldn't take on their projects because I was at full capacity. And the reason it felt so insane, so infuriating, was that just 2 weeks earlier, I had been staring at an empty inbox, a knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach, desperately checking job boards and wondering if I had made a huge mistake with my career. That was my life as a freelance web designer, a brutal, exhausting feast or famine cycle. 1 month I'd be drowning in deadlines, turning away work. The next I'd be panicking about paying my bills. At the same time, separate from my work, I was passionate about productivity and building systems. I loved creating checklists, workflows, and optimizing processes in my own life just to be more efficient. For months, these 2 parts of my life were completely separate. On one side, the stressful, chaotic world of freelancing. On the other, my nerdy obsession with creating order. The light bulb moment didn't come from a list. It came from that moment of pure desperation after turning down that client. I was furious with myself. That night, to cope with the frustration, I did what I always did when I felt overwhelmed. I opened a notebook and I started building a system. I began mapping out my entire client acquisition process, trying to figure out how I could smooth out the peaks and valleys. I was drawing flow charts, creating lead nurturing sequences, and building a content plan. And as I was staring at this detailed map of my own chaos, it hit me like a lightning bolt. The thing I was building for myself, right there in that notebook, that was the real product. My problem wasn't a lack of skill in web design. My problem was a lack of system for getting clients predictably. And I knew with absolute certainty that every other freelancer was stuck on the same roller coaster. The solution wasn't to be a better web designer. The solution was to sell the system. I stopped just being a freelancer for hire and started teaching other freelancers how to build the exact client acquisition systems I was designing for myself. That was the perfect passion problem fit. So let's just pause on that for a second. This is the entire point. The solution to my biggest professional problem wasn't to become a better web designer. The solution was hidden in something I was already doing for fun, my passion for building systems. The real product wasn't the service I was selling. It was the system I built to solve my own chaos. That's the passion problem fit in action. Using what you love to fix a problem you deeply understand. And this isn't just a pattern for solo entrepreneurs. It's the same DNA you find in billion-dollar companies. You've probably heard the story of Airbnb. but I want you to see it through this new lens. Take Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia. They had a real problem. They couldn't afford their rent in San Francisco. They also had a passion, expertise in design. They saw an opportunity. A big design conference came to town. All the hotels would be booked. They connected their problem, needing rent money, with their passion and an opportunity they understood. Designers needing a place to stay. They rented out their mattresses on their floor, and from that simple solution, Airbnb was born. Now that's a powerful foundation, but it's only part one. In part two, we'll uncover the system for finding which problems are worth solving. But before we get there, you need to understand why this foundation is so critical. Seeing those examples, you can understand why this matters so much. This leads to a critical question. Why is the passion problem fit the one thing that determines if we quit or succeed? The answer is pretty simple. Passion fuels persistence. Think about it. Building a business is hard. It's a full contact emotional sport. There will be setbacks, long hours, moments where you question everything. When you're tackling a problem you're truly invested in, like I was with the freelancer struggle, or Brian and Joe were with their rent, the passion acts as fuel. It's fuel for your emotional engine. It keeps you going when things get tough. Plus, and this is a key advantage, your understanding of the problem means you find a better solution. But you don't need to be building the next Airbnb. This exact principle can be applied to your life right now to find an idea that's perfect for you. So let's stop talking theory and let's start taking action. Remember that promise I made at the beginning of this video? That you could find your perfect business idea in just 10 minutes? This is how we deliver on that promise. I want you to do a specific, actionable exercise right now. It will give you more clarity in 10 minutes than most people get in 10 months. We're going to create your personal business idea map. It's a visual guide, and it pinpoints the intersection of your passion, your skills, and real-world problems. The goal here isn't to fill these lists perfectly. Is to create an inventory of raw material. An inventory where the real million-dollar ideas exist, right where these three columns overlap. Grab a notebook, open a new document, as long as you create 3 columns. And you label them, column 1, things I'm passionate about, column 2, problems that annoy me, and column 3, skills I have. Take this seriously. Once you have these 3 lists, I'll show you the simple filtering technique. You'll connect the dots and you'll uncover your first real business opportunity. Pause this video, set a timer for 10 minutes, and fill out each column. Be honest and be thorough. Okay, welcome back. If you did that exercise seriously, you have a gold mine in front of you. A raw material is useless without a way to refine it. So let's do that now. This next step is where the magic happens. You need to look for the overlaps. Can you use a skill from column 3 to solve a problem from column 2 that exists in an area you're passionate about from column 1? The intersection is your starting point. This is where you go from generalist to a specialist. A generalist says, I'm a business consultant. A specialist says, I help local coffee shops in Chicago get more customers using Instagram. That specificity is your power. That's your passion problem fit. And that's where million-dollar ideas are born. And just like that, you've taken the first and most critical step. Before we continue, if you're finding this helpful, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. It really helps the algorithm to understand that this content is valuable and should be shown to more people who need to see it. And while you're at it, make sure you're subscribed because I'm constantly creating more content to help you create more profitable businesses from the ground up. Okay, so you've identified your passion problem fit, you've built the engine for your business, but an engine without a steering wheel just spins in circles. To actually go somewhere, you need to forget searching for the perfect idea. The real hidden skill, the secret sauce, is far more powerful. This is what separates amateurs from pros. It's about systematically identifying unmet needs and then leveraging your unique skills to profitably solve those needs. In other words, it's not about finding an idea, it's about creating a solution people genuinely want, a solution they will pay for. This approach is so much more effective. You're building a sustainable business. When you create something based on a real need, it's fundamentally valuable. This makes your business more resilient, more scalable, and also more profitable. And the reason this works, The process itself is repeatable and scalable. Here's how it breaks down. First, you actively identify underserved markets or pain points. Then, you honestly assess your own skills and passions. And finally, and this is the magic, you creatively connect those two elements. You design a solution. You're building a bridge between a problem and a profitable solution. You're using your unique skills as the bridge itself. But even with a powerful problem and the right skill, there's a common trap. It sinks most entrepreneurs right here. They completely misunderstand market research. Most people think market research is about finding out if their idea is good, but that's backwards. True market research is about uncovering unmet needs, what I call universal blind spot, those fragile moments, those gaps in customers' experiences, the ones everyone feels but no one has solved. It's about discovering the idea, not validating a preconceived one. Why is this so important? Because starting with a problem ensures you're building something people actually want. It's the difference between a nice to have and a must have. So how do you do this? Forget brainstorming your own ideas first. Instead, immerse yourself in your target market. Look at online forums, social media groups, review sites, anywhere people are talking about their frustrations. Look for recurring themes, persistent complaints, those hidden gaps. Once you've identified a compelling problem you can solve, then and only then do you start building your solution. Adopting this mindset of discovery reveals something important. It shows you why those top 10 business idea lists are harmful. They're not just useless, they're actively harmful. Most of those lists just regurgitate fleeting trends. They're snapshots of what's popular right now, not a sustainable path to a lasting business. Just think about it. If everyone is chasing the same trendy idea, the market gets saturated fast. Competition skyrockets, profit margins shrink, and you end up fighting for scraps, not building something unique. This is why the real goal isn't in finding the next big thing. It's in understanding how to consistently discover your next big thing, tailored to your skills. That's the hidden skill, and that's the real competitive advantage. That's why this video isn't a list, it's a process, a framework, a mental model for generating your own million-dollar ideas. When you combine this powerful foundation of passion problem fit with a research process focused on discovery, you unlock the ultimate entrepreneurial superpower. You become a perpetual idea machine. So let's break that down. This is the ultimate goal. Let's start with the what. I'm not just giving you a list of ideas that might be outdated tomorrow. I'm teaching you a system, a way of thinking, a way to consistently come up with fresh, relevant business ideas. Think of it this way. You're becoming a content repurposing specialist for your own expertise. You identify a core pillar problem you can solve. The system teaches you how to spin that one solution or problem into 10 different variations: a consulting service, a digital product, a workshop, a newsletter. Just like turning one great blog post into a dozen pieces of content. So that's the what. But what about the why? The why is actually pretty simple, but also incredibly important, so you shouldn't miss this. The business world changes constantly. Any single million-dollar idea is only as good as its relevance. But if you can generate your own ideas, you're always ahead of the curve. You're adaptable, resilient, you control your entrepreneurial destiny. You're not chasing fleeting trends, you're creating them. And the how? Well, that's the framework we just walked through. It's about understanding market needs. It's about identifying your unique skills and combining them creatively. It's about becoming a proactive problem solver, not a passive idea seeker. You came here looking for a business idea, but you're leaving with something far more valuable. A system to generate unlimited ideas for the rest of your life. And to make sure you can put this system into practice immediately, I want to help you. I want to help with the specific questions that will inevitably come up. To help with that, I've put a link in the description below where you can submit any question you have about applying this idea generation framework. I personally read every single submission and use them to decide what to cover in future videos. So drop your question there.